Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views or opinions of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Make sure you like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Please rate this podcast 5 stars where applicable and leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 41. So today we're kind of going to talk about doing your cases, your case slots and issues, evaluations, a little bit of everything, as it's all turning out to be lately. So how was your week, Josh?
Not too bad. I've been training RCAs most of the week. We had one that was assigned to my route that's getting it really quickly. And my old work wife, her RCA is not quite picking up her route, but she is a heavy business route. So we think that was part of the hang up. So they were going to switch the two of them. So I started working with the other RCA on Friday, and they called her back in to run parcels on a down route in the middle of the shadow. So hopefully Monday, I'll actually get a chance to run her through the whole route so she can actually see where she's going on the route and get her trained up.
James, how was your week?
Oh, the usual. I had a pretty normal week at the office, other than, management doing things that were wrong and had to be corrected on, and actually had to discuss the trip to door miscellaneous, and unscanned parcels to my postmaster after I've already explained it to them before, because of the latest thing that management set down about unscanned parcels and getting carriers to lower those numbers. So that's the biggest issue that we have going on around, and we will be talking about that later on as part of our issues we're going to be discussing, is management's continuing use of just the computers to harass carriers. But other than that, pretty much an easy week. We did get flat WSS in, and they marked it to be delivered on Saturday, but I felt like not leaving that for my sub on Saturday, so I took it out, and literally he had a completely clean case when he got back. No mail put up, no nothing, because there was nothing to put up. So I got everything out for him, so that way he didn't have much to do yesterday. But other than that, pretty much standard, normal postal week. And now we're here on this again.
Phil, how was your week?
Oh, pretty much like James, except for, my management has the ability to mismanage to the next level. Let's see, we had a carrier out on medical, guys released to return to work on Friday. So they didn't schedule on Friday, they didn't schedule Saturday, but they forced regulars, including myself, in on Saturday. And then the preferential son, he was scheduled, and he's one of the junior carriers, but he didn't bother coming in because he's a Penn State alumni, and Penn State was playing at 7:30 out in Happy Valley, which he could have got to because he's usually done by 12:30, 1 o'clock. But he was allowed to call out. And then we scheduled too many people off, so therefore we had 2 open routes. And when she asked for volunteers, I said, well, I'm already here helping, so since it's my drop day, I'm not going to help you anymore. Of course, that annoyed her. Then, 2 seconds later, another carrier came up with the same excuse that, I'm working my drop day, so I volunteered enough. And I'm telling you, you know what? By the time she got to the third person, she goes, if you're not going to help, I'm going to assign people to help these open routes. And all you heard from my case was good luck.
And doesn't the MOU state that you can't be used if you're already working your relief day?
Well, I don't know, but because since we don't have a steward in there,
Ah,
nobody's posted it up on the board.
I gotcha,
But
gotcha.
I do know an asshole that has a copy of it at their case.
And to answer your question, yes, they're not supposed to use you on your relief day because you're already making overtime.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. So
So, yeah.
other than that, I mean, it's a regular day in Westchester. Plus, we had that storm blow through here, so it was nothing like trying to put mail in the mailbox when the 40-mile-an-hour gust comes along.
Oh, yeah.
And
Isn't that fun?
yeah, oh,
Oh,
airmail.
that's right.
I
I
love
forgot
that.
you got hit by that.
That's like when we get something rolling in off the lake and I'm up on 23, whether I'm lakeside or just across the street. You get that gust of wind and yep, there goes the mail. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Luckily, was far enough inland that I didn't get wet, but we did have some wind, but nothing major. So thankfully this time. But like my wife said, 20 some years ago, no one expected Hugo to come this far east or this far west inland. So I was ready for it.
Well, if you have a wind problem, just take some Beano.
Different wind.
Hot dog with mustard on it.
I don't eat
uh,
hot dogs.
Okay, a burger with mustard on it.
Oh, you heathen!
Oh, nasty. Ketchup, mayonnaise.
no. All right. My week went pretty much the same, except for I did not run my ox route one day this week. A regular took it out yesterday because they wanted to leave me to help the newer guy who was running a different route for the very first time. And so, yeah, and by the time I got back and checked where he was in the last half hour of the route. I'm like, yeah, he's good. He called me once. And that was it. So let's just hope we don't run him off come Christmas time. And we got the official word that the route is now considered vacant, so hopefully it should be posted to bid this coming week. Fingers crossed.
Woohoo! And I need you to steer clear of that RCA so you don't run them off like the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what else? You're coming to when you really bite yourself in the foot here. Shoot yourself in the foot as an RCA still. Holding down a route that 6 days a week that is 53.36 standard hours. And you do it in 44.57 hours the first week. And 48.47 hours the second week. Yeah. I shot myself in the foot on that one.
Yeah, you
Am
shouldn't
I
be doing that. You shouldn't be running them off.
Slow
my
down.
condolences to everybody in Texas since the Cowboys lost.
Ouch.
Well, at least they have another team now down there.
You guys ready to get into this stuff?
Go.
Go for it.
All right. So the first topic we're going to discuss is case slot situations. A lot of management has been trying to lower the number of pieces of equipment in their offices. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and this actually came up in my office as well, was the separations in your case and how small they have to be. So for rural carriers, out of the M38, 342.211 says that cases will be set up generally with 2-inch separations and 2 deliveries per separations. Managers may vary the size of the separations and the number of deliveries per separation on specific routes depending upon the volume and characteristics of mail normally received by those routes. So this is listed under the one bundle system. Now, carriers that case their DPS every day would be considered a one bundle route. On the other hand, if you take the DPS on the side, you're a two bundle system. So you would have to be, it says on that one, half-inch slots. But because it's rural, you should stick with the 1-inch slots per address. So you have enough space if you decide you need to case your mail. Your guys' thoughts?
I have to agree. It should be at minimum a 1-inch slot per address. Problem that there is, though, is there is allegedly no equipment for the cases of growth. The post office a few years back started eliminating and selling off or scrapping unused case equipment. So it's hard and far and few between now to get replacement or additional, which is part of my problem. Is I need at least a half wing. I already have 4 full cases and there's not enough slots in it. I need at least 2 more shelves. I have like 80, somewhere between 80 and 100 addresses that are in the edit book, say half-inch, or I have 0 space for them because there's no room for them on the case, or like some of the addresses, I don't case them because it's either a large company and I tub it out, or the one street in one of my curbside neighborhoods, the city wanted to buy out like 30 to 40 houses that are in a floodplain that they're just demolishing, and they're never going to build anything there again. So I don't have to worry about having a slot for them in the case. And even with that, I still am short. But it's a matter of trying to get the equipment. They keep saying there is none to be had.
Which again demonstrates the foresight, forethought, and every other force that management predictably operates under in regards to growth in areas where are you going to get this equipment from if you're selling it to junkyards? Oh, we don't need this. As long as they're developing and building, you're going to need it. I hate to tell you that the housing's not going to go away, folks. It's just increasing. So, they better come up with an idea, some kind of game plan in regards to making equipment available. And God knows what it's going to cost you, because it's going to be so costly. Uh, phew, you're going to be looking at $5,000-6,000 for somebody to fabricate one centerpiece, one wing.
Oh, all of these new delivery centers where they are taking all the routes and putting them under one roof are getting brand new cases.
Yeah, but they're cheap, flimsy plastic.
Oh, I saw nice metal ones in the pictures from
Yeah,
the
it's blue.
NALC's book.
Oh,
It's
okay.
similar to what we have, but it's blue and they're brand new, which should, in theory, alleviate a lot of old equipment for the offices that are staying where they're at in the interim, but we will see.
Yeah, my thing is when I was going through this last time with the cases, and we kind of talked about this in our post chat typing earlier, is, I have a very seasonal route. I have a lot of people that have their summer homes on Lake Huron and their condos. And a lot of them don't have mailboxes, and she still has them on the case, even though there's not even a post there. So I'm going to be in the process of taking those off because that confuses me, number one. And if I'm having to train a new sub and you're getting a piece of mail for this address, and these guys are they're just going to keep driving because they don't see that number, and then they're going to miss the next ones. So, because their mind's focused on that one number that doesn't have a mailbox. So yeah, I'm going to take those off of there. I mean, it's not a big deal if somebody does put a box up and re-adding it down the road. I'm not worried about it. And then my businesses, my CBUs, my first 3 CBUs, my businesses get hardly any mail, so they don't need single 1-inch slots for all those businesses. I'm putting those down to 1/2 inch. But then I have the one customer, we all have that one customer that, you're literally grabbing handfuls of DPS out of the tray until they don't have any more finally. Why does he have a 1/2 inch slot? This type of stuff that I'm just trying to fix, and it's just annoying me because I keep finding more and more and more.
This just leads us right into doing your edit books right,
Uh-huh.
getting them correct, and making sure that even your slot sizes are listed in your edit book.
And making sure that, the ones that you don't want on the case have the hashtag or the pound sign. And, and if you want to put them back on the case, make sure you got to put the red mark through that so it gets changed next time you put your edit book in. Here's the biggest thing with edit books, especially if you have a curbside that goes to a hardship or was a hardship, now a curbside. Make sure you're changing that status from curb to other or vice versa in your edit books, because if it's not done there, it's not going to be correct on the mapping. And even if you change it and adjust it on the mapping, it's not going to save till the next time unless it's fixed in the edit book. And that makes a huge difference, especially if you have a hardship now that's a dismount at the house. It's not a curbside box. I mean, that makes a difference for you on your evaluations.
Hardship that becomes a delivery.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you could have different footage if you're delivering parcels to that address that could actually benefit you more than just the hardship dismount that you have every day,
Oh yeah.
depending on where the front door is.
And depending on where that mailbox and where you would leave a package is. I know there's one on my primary route. His mailbox is on the back porch, just right on inside the railing. But if they were to have a package, I'm taking it all the way to the door, another 5-10 feet away. So yeah, that type of stuff does make a difference.
Now, out of curiosity, Kristen, how do you
Yes.
enter that on your scanner when you deliver a hardship case?
If they have a package?
Well, no, there's hardship cases where you take the mail to the door too. So
Yes.
if you have a hardship case for just mail, how do you enter that in your scanner?
If you have to make more than it should automatically be in there with the measurement.
As an authorized
Otherwise,
dismount.
authorized dismount if you have to make more than one trip.
And for a parcel, I actually scan them to the door.
So do I.
Okay. All right. Just, so that the audience knows.
Yes. And yeah, because that's, I didn't see about thing about CBUs that just popped up in the chat there. Out of my 13 CBUs, 8 of them I can pull right up to and service them from the truck. So that actually is kind of nice.
That
All
is
right, this one.
that is nice. I used to cover a route that had that ability. Mine, the closest I can get is 3 feet away from it.
Yeah, I only have 2 locations I actually have to dismount for the boxes. And one condo has 3 CBUs, and the other one only has 2. Those are the only 2 I got to dismount for.
Well, the 2 that I could pull right up to, if I got close enough to service them, I don't have enough clearance to open the doors.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine are right on the street, so I can just pull right up to it.
All right, this one actually came to us in the chat. We talked about this last week. They said, what can be done about an RCA doing the rec scans properly? For example, end load while still at the truck, and clocking out before casing curtailed mail, not using unscanned parcel, etc. Um, they're covering a route for 2 months while the regular is out. Ouch.
I feel
Kristen,
bad for
you're
that
our current
regular.
resident RCA. Well, we're looking for a new one as you're going regular to join us.
Yeah,
Care to start this one out?
all right. As an RCA, especially if you're holding a route down or running the same route for a length of time, I should say. We don't have hold downs in this craft, but on that note, it's end load is when you return the conveyance back inside from where you got it. That's when you hit your end load. Your load times are measured in straight time to be added into the evaluation. Clocking out, you clock out when you're done with everything. You hit PM casing if you're casing up mail that was for the next day, or if you're doing a second trip. But you do not clock out until you are done for the day. We do not work off the clock at all, ever.
Or,
What can this person
Kristen,
do?
Kristen, in the case of your, like right now, you're covering your route.
Yes.
You get back, you finish all of your duties in office for a return to duty
Yes.
or your end of shift. They say, Kristen, I need you to go out and help Route 12. Do you clock out on the scanner for that route and then go to the green card? Or does that stay under PM casing?
Me personally, I clock out and then do a green card. It could be done either way, honestly.
The
Well,
union has
I know it
stated
would be green card either way, but again, all this is, doesn't affect me, so I don't know. And I know I may be asked at one point from one of these RCAs.
the union has stated that if you are going to go help out on another route, you go into PM casing on your scanner, and then you change the route on the scanner, go do that other route, then come back, and then clock out. You don't clock out until you're done for the day, but you put it on a green card. The PM casing stops the clock on the route. So your route's no longer adding time to the evaluation, but you are still on the clock in the scanner, and that adjusts with your green card time that you're putting on the green card. So the green card time starts when you hit PM casing and stops when you clock out for the day. That's what the union said to do.
Okay.
Most of the time, I've already hit clocked out when I'm told I need to go back out. So that's where my issue on that is I hit clock out and then I'm getting ready to hang the scanner up and I get, oh, wait, I need you to go do this. Yeah.
And that's when you say, "Oh, you should have told me 5 minutes ago."
Yep,
Right?
I'm already clocked out. I'm already out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Life of an
Yeah,
RCA still.
yeah, you're a pushover.
I can't
Yeah.
say no just yet. I still gotta wait that one out. I'm counting down.
Well, then
She
while you're
huh?
on return to DU time, go hunt for your manager. Do it on the clock time, and find your manager and be like, "Is there any other work for me?" And when she says yes, go out and help this route. Then switch over to PM casing. Now you're helping your evaluation and staying in the clocked in state.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you clock out and you sneak out real quick, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to do that. But when I can. Usually, yeah. I don't know
Next,
what that place would do without me, honestly. It'd fall apart.
Next item for discussion.
So Saturday started the sign-up period for the Relief Day work list and the Sunday volunteer list for Amazon for RCAs and offices that have that. Would you guys like to discuss what it means for a carrier to choose to be on the Relief Day work list versus not being on the Relief Day work list?
Well, correction, it was last Saturday.
Well, last Saturday. So it's still up, but it's coming
Yeah.
down next week, this
It
Friday.
This,
become
this
down
Friday,
Friday.
the 29th.
Yep.
Yes. So we wanted to just touch that topic really quick again and remind people why you might want to or might not want to sign up for the Relief Day work list.
Let's
Okay.
see. Bill says no.
All right, I'm going to chime in and explain the difference from being on it and not being on it. If you
Yep.
sign it, you are going to get called first to come in when your sub is needed for something else. It should rotate by seniority. It should rotate.
Bullshit.
It should, but when
It
you
It's
may.
are,
supposed to.
it's supposed to.
Supposedly.
But when you have one RCA for 5K routes, everybody works anyways. So, and then if you are on it, as well as being the first to be called in, you get the choice of DACA 3, which is a half day's pay and an X day, or DACA 5, which is overtime 150% for the day.
With no
If
other
you're
compensation. You have to work,
correct,
you'll work 6 days through.
correct. If you are not on it, you can only get a DACA 3. Half day's pay and an X day. If you are forced to come in not being on the relief day work list.
Unless you have uninformed management and you write 150% on your 4240, and they push it through.
Your management's good like that. They have your
Yeah.
back.
And
Um,
see, here's the bummer part is it comes down Friday. I will still be an RCA when it comes down. And I have no sub. So yeah.
Well, we
I,
have a response about H routes can't work it, but they still can sign the relief
Yes.
day work list.
yes.
Yes, they can. Our H route carrier did sign it. Yes.
and there's a possibility with the evaluations coming out that your route could go up to a J route or a K route, depending on how things work out with their non-disclosed system. But we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Now, also on the relief day work list, if you're on it and you don't want to work a particular day, you still have to work it, and then remove yourself from the list, and you can't go back on until the next posting for relief day work list.
Correct. You can sign onto it twice a year, but if you are on it, you can have yourself removed at any time. It would just be at the end of that. Is it the end of the pay period? Or is it the end of the week? So if you're already scheduled to work it, you still have to work it.
Pay period.
Pay period. Okay.
And if you want to have your relief day off, even though you're on the relief day work list, take the Friday before off.
Yep.
If you take the Friday before off, they cannot make you work your relief day.
Well,
or the Monday
it just,
after.
it has, presuming you have a Saturday, it has to be, you have to take leave in it adjacent to the relief day.
Yes.
And that can be sick leave, annual leave, or next day.
Yes.
Or put a
right.
3971 in saying you absolutely have to have that day off.
Yep. So before we go into our next topic, I did want to make an announcement. They have just announced that the next wave of free COVID tests have come out. So they're still free to order through the Postal Service. So it would behoove you, for extra scans on your route, to tell your customers to order their 4 free COVID tests. I know it's a pain in the butt, but those scans benefit your route. So you could help your route by helping convince your customers, whether they want them or not, just say, hey, they're free, they help me out, and you can do with them what you want. But they're free. So they don't pay for them, but it benefits you in the scan count. So it's a good idea to try and convince people to order them on your route if you want to help your route out a little bit. Carrier discretion.
75% of my route is retirees. They'll order them anyways.
Yeah.
Or they've been getting
So,
them this whole time through their health plans, so just send them out randomly.
and that benefits your route completely. So, all right,
We
next
we
one.
we we can also discuss my options at the end of the podcast. That's a big carrier discretion there, folks.
Yeah, we'll do
Uh-huh.
that in the post show. We'll do that in the post show. And that just means that if people want to participate, they need to actually come and listen to us record this live on our Discord channel. Hashtag shameless plug.
It's okay.
All
It's
right.
okay.
Oh,
So one of
and
the
the website
go ahead.
actually will open up tomorrow to start ordering them.
So
Yeah.
once this podcast goes live, they'll be open to order.
Yes, Monday the 25th.
Yes,
Bearing that there is no editing issues.
correct. And if
Sorry
there
about
are,
that,
then the ordering will definitely be open by that time.
guy.
So it's a good thing I put the date in there, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because nobody knew yet. Tomorrow's the 25th.
Hey,
So
my wife
all
reminded
right.
me my birthday is on Friday, so
Shut up. My
no, it
birthday's
is
Saturday. My birthday's Saturday.
the 30th.
Yep.
Well, we'll
Oh,
wish you a
wow.
happy early birthday on this podcast, and then you could tell us all about how your birthday went on the next podcast.
It'll start with a pound of Haberset Scrapple.
Nice.
Oh,
And I will miss next week because I will not be here.
What?
well,
What?
we'll have to
I,
talk to our editor to
I,
make sure he actually remembers.
I, unless, I mean, I can try to be on, but I'll be at the machine shop for a concert in Flint, so I don't think it would, yeah, you wouldn't hear me too well.
I think you need to get your priorities straight.
Yeah, I'm taking some me time for a Sunday evening. That's my
Uh-huh.
priority.
She deserves it. She's working 6 days a week, every week. She deserves it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Since discussions have gotten very lively in multiple places, not just on this podcast, but in the groups that we work with, we need to talk about why carriers need to be involved now instead of just when it's close to national. Why is it so important that we get people stepping up now, getting involved now, going to meetings, going to conventions, going to boosters, things like that? Why is it so important for them to start getting involved right this moment? Bill,
Um,
you're the one that I would peg to be the big one to talk about this. Why do they need to
Well,
be involved now?
let's start off with the fact that, if you don't get to know the delegates, you don't know who's representing you. I'll take one of our podcast members. Maybe if you went to a local meeting, you might notice the DR showing up an hour late. And remember, they're still getting paid the time and the travel to that local meeting. Let's get involved, because of the fact that if you are involved, you'll find out who the retirees are and how long they've been retired and what input they have. In Pennsylvania, we have several good retirees, but we have another 20 plus to take up positions that don't represent the craft anymore, have not represented the craft for years, and wouldn't know an MDD scanner if you stuck it in their face. They aren't familiar with the rec system because they've been retired that long. You want to be involved now because you want to select delegates who are going to represent, or maybe even yourself volunteer to be a delegate so you can represent the craft. The problem with this union, and one of the easiest ways to examine this, is that this is a pay to play type situation. And the easy example that I can give you is if you go back over the last 10 years and look at all the people at the national convention on the selected committees, finance committee, the appeals committee, the tellers committee, you're going to find out it's the same people over and over and over again. And a lot of them have nothing to do with the daily trials and errors that we go through in the course of a day as a carrier. And that includes people in the NSS and people at the state level. It's pretty apparent in the state of Pennsylvania that our entire state board is basically a mirror of the national board. And to justify that comment, I can say that every time we go to a convention, we hear this saying, to better reflect and align ourselves with the national board, we're changing this language this way, or we're changing this language that way. We want to align ourselves with that. This is why we have different states, so that you can do your own thing. You can make up your own mind. You can dictate where your state constitutions represent the carriers, not the national board. We don't reflect them. Remember, folks, they work for us, not the other way around.
Yeah, I can relate on for what Bill was saying too about the state board and aligning languages, aligning more with national board. It's quite similar in my state as well.
Yeah, I can understand aligning some things to be with the national board, but you can't align everything because each state is different. For instance, here in Michigan, we deal with a ton of snow, especially in our northern portions. I'm sure Kristen has dealt with 2, 3 feet of snow in her area plenty of times, whereas in Texas, you got to deal with 3 or 4 inches of sand or dust or things like that, or you have to deal with a lot of tornadoes in Oklahoma or Kansas, places like that. Each state is a small microcosm of the union as a whole, but we do have different things that we deal with in each state and different things that we deal with on a national basis. It's just like with our country. Our national government sets down a primary example, and then the states create their own that matches but also supersedes the national. There's a lot of things that are different in each state. It's the same for the union. So we need to make sure that everybody's getting involved, getting their voice heard, voting, getting involved as a delegate, stepping up to be a local steward in their office. You're more than welcome to tell them that it's because of this podcast that you became a steward. We'd be appreciative of that. Things like that. You know, doing your duty as a union member. The union is not here for you. The union is you, along with every other craft member across the board. Whether they're dues paying or non-dues paying, it's the same union. And we need to step up now, get involved now, so we know what's coming. When I go to my county meeting, because I only have a county, I don't have a region like some areas, I have a county. I see 8, 9, 10 people of the 20 2,200 we have in the county, those 9 or 10 people being involved would be better delegates than the other 30 that are involved. That's what you need to do to be involved. Going to your boosters, your state convention, going to your regional convention, expand your mind as to who's actually being involved in this union. There are some people that go to those events that just go because it's an event to go to and they're paid to go. But there are some people that go because they actually care about this craft. And you'll notice them in the audience. They're the ones sitting there paying attention, taking notes, learning, figuring out what's going on. Those are the people you want to know. Those are the people you want to listen to because they are actually paying attention to what's going on. But being involved doesn't mean you have to go to the meetings, doesn't mean you have to go to the conventions, but being involved in knowing what is going on in this union makes you a better union member. And as we always say, a well-informed carrier scares management.
And a well-informed carrier scares the national board.
Yes.
We know a lot more about what's going on than most carriers and a lot of board members do. I've asked questions to board members that they couldn't answer or they didn't want to answer. I'll get back to you on that. Send
Let
me
me
an
look
email and
into
I'll
it.
get you an answer. Yeah, let me look into it. And then they won't get back to you. We'll get back to you. We'll find an answer for you. That's what we do as union members. We help each other out.
And if I can be a little controversial here,
You
I
always
know.
are.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to the podcast and you don't know what to do or how to do about situations in your office, okay, this podcast and other podcasts, the national website, ruralinformation.net. I mean, there are plenty of resources out there for you to glean the information. But what really gets me is that in my office, often the biggest complainers are the ones who aren't involved, whether they're union or non-union. The ones who have the biggest gripes, the most bitches about the post office or the union are the ones who aren't involved. If you want change, you have to step up. You can't wait for somebody else to step up because it won't happen. And you may not have the personality that we have here on this podcast. It would scare me if anybody had any more personality than me and James. But but the fact of the matter is that you have to step up. The first person who's going to protect your rights is you.
Yep. You do. And even, if you can make it to, if your state has booster meetings and stuff like that, I am really bummed that I can't go. That is just, it really bothers me. To the point I am like about ready to reach out to RCAs and other nearby offices to see if any of them are available that weekend. Because I enjoy going because this is more information that, possibly has come out since in between. There's different seminars, there's different speakers, it's, and then hearing about what's going on in other offices and kind of getting an idea here, there, and the other. And they usually do a Q&A with the DR and the ADRs. They have a presentation. So yeah, it's a lot of information. And I'm really bummed I can't go next month. So, okay. You can have it
Yeah,
back
and
now.
like for our state booster, we have a person coming from the Better Business Bureau to come talk with us. We're having the district manager from Michigan 2 coming, so I'm sure we're going to get more cities carrier stats like the last one we went to. There's going to be a steward topics section. Of course, there's a Rex section. Don't know why they're even bothering. A dispute process, bidding, light blue, 2080 and 2240, and then they're having a Q&A. That'll be fun. And don't forget the
When,
usual stuff, the PAC and
when's your
legislative
booster?
update. It's going to be the 14th and 15th of 2023 at Great Wolf Lodge in Traverse City, Michigan.
13th and 14th of October, which is after the new evaluations go into effect, and they're going to talk about
Yes.
disputes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
just want to make sure.
thanks for that segue.
Well, say,
Because
real quick, I'm going to say the other reason to get involved now, if you want to be involved and you want to try and be a delegate, this is how you would get your name out there for people who are involved and do vote to see who you are and that you are willing to participate.
yeah, I've only been involved in the union for what, 2 years now, 2.5 years. And within those 2 years, I went from bottom of the list to being a delegate. It's not difficult if you do it the right way and get in there and get known to people. Now we are
Yay.
working on getting lists
Must be
for every
nice.
state. We're working on getting lists for every state of delegates that are going to be involved for people. I'm going to rely on people from every state who listen to this podcast. We're going to put it up in our podcast group when the delegate lists come out to help assist carriers on figuring out who is who. It's an informal list. We are not suggesting that you actually vote for any specific person, but we'll let your people from your state explain who they would vote for on those sections. But we'll put that out when those come out. Just FYI, is that coming up? But getting involved now is the most important part. So now that we skipped the segue and went right back to that other topic, the next one is waiting on evaluations. They're coming out this Friday/Saturday, depending on when they finally tell management, hey, it's open. They're supposed to come out on the 30th. So what are our hopes out of this evaluation? Now, I know from previous conversations with our panelists here that we're across the board on what we think is going to actually happen. You have the top end, which is myself, thinking that a lot of people are actually going to go up with this next evaluation. You have the bottom side, Bill, who thinks it's just going to get worse. And everybody else is in between.
No, I did
So
not say that. I want a retraction on that. I'm going to send you some
okay, I'll
fan mail.
retraction that. You're going to send me fan mail? Make sure it's certified.
I will.
Not certifiable.
Same thing.
with return receipt. Darn it, get it right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sending
I'll
it
give him
registered.
a receipt, all right. I'll give him a
No,
WWE receipt.
no, big boy.
Oh dear Lord.
No, I said it's going to be marginal because of the fact that in between the mini mail surveys, people will pick up, doing their scans and being aware of what to, look for in regards to their mail during the mini mail survey, which won't affect that much because it's a 2-week sampling that is factored into the previous 52 weeks. Therefore, there's not going to be that much change. And I said, but most people will go up a little bit marginally.
Okay, I issue my retraction then.
Okay.
So, how about you, Kristen? What do you think?
I kind of think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I can see some of these, these routes that we're doing all the scans and doing everything prior to the first one are probably gonna stay roughly around the same. Now, some of them that weren't doing them drop big. Maybe a little bit of an increase. You got to remember, this is only, I mean, with a 52 rolling week, so you only got 6 months of new data. I think any of those to see real change will have to be the next mini mail survey. So I think, it could be across the board.
How about you, Josh?
I'm similar to Kristen. I think there's going to be some bounce back, but it's not going to be a huge jump up because for the same reason, it's only 26 weeks worth of new data where people were actually doing the scans versus the first 26 weeks where they weren't.
Yeah, I'm positive that the people that weren't doing scans before and started doing the scans after are going to go up. They're not going to go up the full amount. They're only going to go up partially, maybe at most a third to maybe between a third and a half on that because they don't have the full 6 months in there between the two evaluations because of all the back and forth over what the evaluations were after the mini mail survey. So there's a smaller window for this mini mail survey that they were actually doing a lot of the proper scans, and some of them were probably missed at the beginning of it as they were learning this stuff on the fly, things like that. But I do believe that a lot of carriers that dropped significantly will bounce back a little bit. On the other hand, I do know that there are some routes that will go down this next evaluation. And a case in point is a route I know of that was gutted when they did a cutback on it from an overburdened 48 down to a 43 just before the first mini mail survey. And so since they were using the data from before, the 6 months before on that route, he continued at a higher rate. But I think it's going to drop again this evaluation, and there's nothing that we can do about it. There's nothing he can do about it. So there are going to be some that go down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I believe a majority of the routes that didn't change anything will be going up. So I'm going to be the positive one here.
Well, I'll put it out there that I'll take any bets that 66% of our routes don't go up. Any takers?
I could
I'm not
see
taking it.
maybe, yeah, no. I was gonna say 10% of that 66 maybe, but yeah, no, I ain't gonna even try on that one.
So now I've been positive. So now I'm going to go into our hostile work environment discussion. Management has been getting on carriers for unscanned parcels, especially during the mini mail survey and after it. I know a lot of offices had a stand-up talk about the unscanned parcels after the mini mail survey or during, depending on when their district managers got it out to their postmasters. And even though some local managers deny that they got it from their boss, there's too many consistencies across the nation for it to have been just a single individual saying we need to talk about this. But carriers are getting harassed just for the data on the computers. Management's not going out and checking. Management is not doing their job to verify whether they have it or not. They're harassing the carriers. And I need to remind every single carrier out there, it is management's job to prove your guilt, not your job to prove your innocence. Again, management has to prove your guilt. You don't have to prove your innocence. but they're going to harass you. They're going to get on you. They're going to say your numbers are too high because we benchmarked this. And benchmarking is wrong, especially with the data that we have. You
And that's
need
where I
to
would
grieve
just
it.
tell them to kiss my ass.
Or you could be a little bit more political about it.
No, I just tell them to kiss my ass. That's, you know.
Yeah, because they have no proof that you didn't have those unscanned parcels.
Exactly.
They don't have proof that you didn't have so many parcels that day that you scanned.
Yep.
They don't have proof that you didn't take something to the door multiple times. They don't have proof that it took you 9 trips to do an authorized dismount because of the heavy mail volume you had. The harassment needs to stop. And it takes grievances to do that. What do we do, Bill?
File, file, file.
And file some more.
Then cut down another tree and file some more. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got to remember, if they're going to pull you in for a PDI on these situations, first of all, make sure you have your local union representative with you. Second of all, remember, this is just an interview. It's a predetermination to see if there's any further action required on the disciplinary level. So it's, when I used to tell people as a steward about PDIs, I just tell them, yes, no, don't elaborate on any answers. Don't make things up. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Just get it done and you walk away from them, and if it goes on, in the future, then, we have a concern. But PDI is just an investigation to see if there's warranted action for disciplinary procedures. So don't sweat it. If they're not going to sit there and go through everything in your hamper and qualify it as a parcel or a flat, if it doesn't go into your case like a letter or a flat, carrier discretion. It's an unscanned parcel.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody commented our postmaster is going around and checking, but limited us to 5. There is no limit.
That's
There never
benchmarking.
will be. That's benchmarking. And there is a grievance that a lot of district representatives have put out about benchmarking. And you can actually grieve that because management is unilaterally deciding that this is the number you're going to have and that's it. And that's wrong. It's a unilateral decision, and you can grieve that as an Article 5 violation. Don't let them tell you, oh, you only can have 5 a day. You can only have 3 a day. You can only have 10 a day. I heard somebody say on another group that it can only be in factors of 5. You're going to have 5, 10, or 15. And if it's over 15, then you're going to have an interview. That's benchmarking and harassment. Don't let them tell you how many unscanned parcels you have. It is carrier discretion as to what is a parcel. And it says specifically in the rec stuff, whether it's on the resource guide or in the 99-page manual, to what is an obvious parcel. It doesn't explain what an obvious parcel is. So if a carrier determines it is an obvious parcel that does not have a barcode or barcode numbers to input, then it's an unscanned parcel under carrier discretion.
Now, case in point, my office, we had these things called Boys Town.
Oh
They
yeah,
were
got them too.
they were kind of soft-sided, okay, but they were actually thicker than the 1-inch U lines. And I got questioned about it because I had 23 unscanned parcels. And I said, "Did you check my 4240?" And I had written on there Boys Town. And they said, "Well, what's that?" And I said that these things were thicker than the U lines, wouldn't fit in the case with the other mail. Well, we don't approve of that. I said, I don't care whether you approve it or not. That's the way it's entered in there. And if I don't see that on my PTR, I says, we're going to have a problem. Of course, it showed up on the PTR. Don't back down, folks. Don't get bullied. Stand up to the bullies.
Yeah, we just had those Boys Town, and then the Medicare books last week.
USS in my scanner.
The WSH Medicare books, which are 15 books per bundle. I had 21 bundles for my route.
Wow, that's like 300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that without my fingers.
And mine were in reverse order.
Oh, you poor thing. Mine was one wrong address in every single bundle. It was in the wrong spot.
Nope, I didn't have that issue at all. I only
Well,
missed one, too.
the Medicare books fit in the case most often for a lot of places without a problem. They weren't even an inch thick. But carrier discretion.
And always be discretionary to your favor.
Yes.
Yep.
Every discretion is to your favor, otherwise you're leaving money on the table.
And Bill says that's a no-no.
I leave money on the table and it disappears. So, yeah, I would.
And that's what management will do with your money if you leave it on the table.
Yeah, baby.
You just have to get better at playing cards.
Got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run.
Oh God, we could have done without that.
I much prefer Planet Texas.
That was classic.
Thanks for the setup, Josh.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Blame
All
Kristen.
right.
She's leaving the money on the table.
Yeah. You never leave money
Uh-oh.
on the table. Never.
No. No. No,
Next
I
item
have
before
I have a teenage daughter at home. You never leave money on the table.
next item before we become a karaoke bar.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could key up
So
some music and try and go for it. I don't know.
I have one last topic. And we can't do that because we could actually get a copyright strike on our podcast. So we don't want to really do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. And we're already not being paid, so.
We're not?
But
Oh, screw this.
all right, we'll double your pay.
Okay. All right. It is Sunday. I should get double time.
All right, so the last thing I have is disputes are finally flowing out. We just finally getting back in time for the next evaluation in 2 weeks, and they've decided to finally put out all the disputes that they've been holding on to, or at least some of them. And carriers are getting them back. A lot of them, of course, are management will fix the issue. Management will do this with the carrier. Management will take care of the carrier on this one. Some of them are coming back with a higher evaluation,
Yes, we had one in my office.
but you only get that evaluation for your next paycheck. And
No,
hope and,
we actually got retro pay.
and hope and pray that they give you the retro pay.
Yeah, came on the very next paycheck.
Oh, wow. That person got lucky. There are some people that didn't get the retro pay and their routes went up.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
the effective date was May 6th.
what do you
And
guys think of this timing of this disputes coming back? They've had them for 6 months. Why are they all of a sudden now just getting around to them?
Well, I wouldn't know because in my district, we're still sitting on the ones from back in May. And as of now, we aren't even getting the new form for disputes of this mini mail survey till tomorrow.
And you can't do anything till you get your 42, 41 A's and M's.
Right.
And I still have 2 routes I have to go over.
I know in this area, part of the holdup was labor kept getting sidetracked or pulled away for other things rather than sitting in on those disputes.
Oh,
And
I'm
that's not
sure
right.
it's one excuse or another. It's not right.
Our director of labor relations should have been getting down on them to get this done because these carriers deserve this money. These carriers deserved to have their evaluations correct. And these disputes should have been settled with a monetary fund instead of settling for management will take care of it. That's not even a slap on the hand for management. That's not even telling them they won't do it again. And they could have been settling these for the last 6 months. Our director of labor relations should have been sitting with labor and going over these every single day, not trying to go after a podcast. It should have been taken care of in a timely manner. But nothing's done timely in this. Hasn't been done timely. They're not being held accountable. What more can we do? Sit here and talk about it.
Well, James, if you go on the national website, it still has up there in their windows that mapping is the most important function. But yet routes are out there that still haven't been mapped. But that's okay because we'll follow the breadcrumbs, even if the breadcrumbs are incomplete because of the cell service that's unreliable in a lot of areas. But don't worry about it. We got your back.
Or they got the dispute back. Mapping will be done with the carrier.
Hmm. And that solves what? 6 months later?
Yeah. The time for excuses is over. It's time for people to step up and do their damn jobs.
Hold on, you
They're
forgot my favorite one that we brought up last week.
which one?
This dispute was denied due to the fact that training material was on the national website.
Yeah, apparently a non-dues paying member was supposed to access the union website to get the information. Oh wait, it's locked behind a login. You have to be a dues paying member to be able to see it. And I understand there's a lot of dues paying members out there that think that non-dues paying members are scabs, are useless, don't do anything for the union, things like that. But I'm sorry, you're affecting the union by doing that. You're affecting the craft by doing that. It's time to step up or step down because these carriers want you to have their backs, and instead signing these as management will do whatever is supposed to be done like they were supposed to be doing is telling carriers you don't have their back, telling them they had to have the information from the union website when people can't even access it is a slap in the face and doesn't make them want to join the union.
My
But
my personal opinion on that should be that if it's anything that has to do with your pay, with your wages, regardless if you are a member, dues paying member or not, that information should be made available to you. Just like you can get a copy of the contract without being a dues paying member, and you can look up your local steward, you should be able to have access to that training material.
sit there and tell me you're helping the union out by excluding craft members. At this point in time, there are states that are getting rid of right to work. And in those states, those union members in private sector can actually be forced to pay dues now. It's not on the national level yet, but you could endear a lot more people if you just gave enough information to entice them to come to the union, entice them to be involved, entice them to be craft members instead of leaving them in the dark. Instead, not only are you leaving them in the dark, the comments you're putting on these dispute forums is making people leave the union. I've had a lot of people tell me that their dispute came back, it was wrong, and they're tired of the union treating them this way. So they're pulling their dues. And the only thing keeping them in this union is this podcast. Do you know how much that breaks my heart to hear that? That the only reason they're involved still in the union is because of us. Not because of leadership, not because of state leaders, not because of DRs, ADRs, or even their local stewards, but because of a podcast put on by a group of people who actually care about this craft. You can sit on your high horse in your little office space and make 3 times the amount of money I do. But until you start stepping up and taking care of this craft, you're useless. You're not doing your job. And I think it's time to wrap it up.
Bill, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I disagree with him. He says that he's heartbroken. My cockles are worn by the people who stayed in the union, have become stewards and everything because of this podcast.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that I'm heartbroken that our leadership doesn't realize that.
Well, they're a bunch of dumbasses anyway. And don't edit that out.
No, we're gonna keep that. That kind of just goes with the flow of what James was just saying.
Our
And
editor just said, "Oh, it's getting edited out."
I
I
will
have a
find you.
copy. I have a
I will.
copy. But no, seriously. I mean, like I was saying, if it's something that affects everybody's wages, everybody's it needs to be available to everybody. They shouldn't have to rely on a friend to give them that information. That is one of the few things that should be available for everybody. Because obviously you can't count on management to train. I don't think that word is even in their vocabulary properly, anyways. But yeah, we should wind this down tonight, guys. Josh, your final commentary.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
That's it.
no.
Yes.
Well, he wanted to start with something different than
Okay.
Go ahead, Josh.
Everyone,
Come on, boy. Come on. You can do it.
Okay.
give me a second.
Come on. You can do it.
She'll start.
Speak. Come on. Come on. Speak, boy.
Whoop,
Speak.
whoop.
I was gonna go there, but I was trying not to.
Come on. Be
Boy,
daddy's
sit.
little boy.
Oh my god, you sound so much like my boyfriend right now. It's
Don't get
scary.
overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. Step back in.
And don't listen to Bill. Oh God. Ah.
You're oh.
I think he's done.
Me too. Stick a fork in him, he's done.
Oh, he's your daddy's little boy. Wiggy, 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 wiggy.
Oh God.
Uh, oh, God, I can't wait till I get a drink in me.
I know I'm completely sober too. Well, almost, but yeah, I haven't been drinking
Uh,
tonight.
uh. All right, James.
Wow, it's hard to follow that up.
I know. That's why I was kind of glad we got a little bit of a light and enlightened moment there. The
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, just remember, folks, we're all in this together. We're one craft, united with one goal, and that's to make the rural craft better for every rural carrier. And we just need to step up and do the right thing, be accurate, be honest, and take care of each other. So everybody have a good week. Hopefully everything goes smoothly for you, and we'll see you next week.
Sending
You
my
have
bodyguard after you.
Bill, do you have anything else tonight?
don't think I have anything else to say.
Okay. I was
No,
just checking. Hey,
no.
Um
Hey, no, I got a couple syllables.
okay.
Everybody, do your jobs to the best of your ability. Of course, if it's questionable, use carrier discretion and look out for each other. You know, it's like, being a big brother or big sister in the office at times. Somebody's got to do it. Don't wait for somebody else to step up because it'll never happen. Everybody be safe. Have a good week. Do the job the best you can. And remember, you're the most important delivery. Get home to your loved ones.
And just a reminder, I will be absent next Sunday night. I will pray for all of you. I will leave you in the hands of the gentleman. Good
Where?
luck. Exactly.
Here?
Yeah, y'all get to have a good time without me next week. That's okay. I'll be back the following week. I just need to have a moment, an evening for myself with some heavy metal in a small venue. That's all I need. And if you are the praying type out there, please pray that this route goes up for bid for me this week. Please.
All right.
Other than
Let me
that,
actually try this
everybody.
again. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll sacrifice a small animal in your favor.
Thank you. The more they
I'll
scream, the
do,
better. Um,
I'll do an unscanned parcel for you.
I had a door miscellaneous the other day, actually. Yeah, but on that note, everybody stay safe this week. And the guys will be back next week.
God help us.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Have a good one,
Everyone
Good
have a
everyone.
night,
good week.
everybody.
Have a good week. If you get overwhelmed, take a step back, take a deep breath, step back in. Good night.
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 Good night.